Bess Freedman, I'm pleased to say, joins us now. Brown Harris Stevens is a luxury real estate brokerage in the New York metro area and South Florida. Bess, great to see you.
Nice to see you, ladies. Good morning.
So skepticism, I feel like that's a diplomatic way to put it, because we've certainly seen responses from all over the spectrum, especially when it comes to some of the real estate proposals. So take us into your world and the conversations you and your peers have been having.
I think it's consistent with what Mayor Adams said. There's real concern about rent freezes, free bus rides. I think he had some sort of rhetoric about defunding the police early on. And I have to believe that he has good intentions, but the consequences would be so detrimental to a city like New York that is just finally recovering from COVID. Remember, 5 years ago, crime was up, homelessness, there were encampments, tourism was way down, people felt a sense of danger, people weren't going into the offices. That has all changed. We had 64 million tourists last year. People are back in the city. You know, things are better than they were before. And to have someone with these sorts of policies, I think it's like ideological mishigas. You know, it's like chaos. He doesn't understand how the city works, and he doesn't understand that we're a business too. We're a community, and we have to work together.
You know, one thing that seems to be capturing the hearts and minds of New Yorkers is just that strong focus on housing. Because, of course, you're having rents hitting another record. More increases are on its way in rent prices. But you listen to his actual policies, some of them, for Wall Street's purposes, are very scary, like rent increases, or rent caps, sorry.
Yes, rent caps.
But there are other policies, like deregulation, like tearing down red tape, that seem to be things that people could very much get on board with. What do you think is the viability of him to do that, should he become mayor?
You know, it's wonderful, like, to pretend you're a Robin Hood and you can just wave a wand and do that, but it doesn't work that way. I mean, a lot of landlords are sort of, they have this negative connotation like they're bad, but there's a lot of people who have a few buildings that are paying their bills, and something like a rent freeze would be so damaging to them that they wouldn't be able to pay their bills and make repairs. And I don't think what Mamdani is saying he would do is even possible. I don't think he would be able to do the things he proposes, but it sounds good to people because they're desperate. And as you said, rents are at an all-time high, partially because they've gone up since June 11th, something like 15%. And part of that is due to bad regulation, bad legislation. The city council passed something called the FAIR Act, which we've seen a jump in rents, and we warned them about that. But people are so insistent that they know better, they're not listening to their communities. And that's what we need to do better in New York, is come together and talk to each other so we can give expertise and help so we come up with good solutions.
Well, we have to see the outcome of this election, and we know that proposals don't often turn into policies, so we'll have to follow that connection as well. But putting that aside, if you can, I mean, if you take a look at the underlying market right now, we talked about rents, but how does it look when it comes to the purchasing market right now, when it comes to list prices? Have we seen any softening there?
I mean, every time I come here, I want to come in with some great news and be like, guys, everything is better. But, you know, it's not. Prices have continued to go up. I think this is the 23rd month that prices have gone up. Rates have not come down. I think the 30-year is now hitting 7%. Inventory is still tight in many places. So buying a new home, a first-time home, has become almost unattainable for first-time home buyers. So I wish I had better news for you, but I don't. And I think we need to solve the affordability crisis in the United States of America. New York is different because it's discretionary, but the rest of the country, people want to have a first-time home, and we need to make that possible for people.
So we've seen this particular story before. When things get a little tougher in New York, or it looks like it's going to be less business-friendly, then you have a group of people that say we're leaving.
Yeah.
And some do, but for the most part, they're crying wolf, right? I mean,
people said that when, you know, Donald Trump became the president, that they were going to leave, and they didn't leave the United States. And people are saying that if Mamdani gets in as mayor, they're going to leave. I'm really skeptical about that. I think this is the greatest city in the world. It's singular in what it does. It's the talent capital of the world. And he can't just enact these policies. He has to work together with people. He has to work with Governor Hochul. He has to work with everyone. And so I'll sit down with him if he becomes the mayor, and I will try to help him to solve problems. The world is not going to, you know, disrupt in New York. It will work together. And I don't think people are going to run out and leave. We've already had that problem because of taxes, because of so many other issues. COVID, people left. But this is New York City. People want to be here.
I want to talk about myself a little
Okay.
bit. I actually just left New York City, and I moved to Hoboken. I feel like I always update you on this.
Hey, I did too, so I can't even, you know. Yeah.
I get it. It's unaffordable because it becomes unaffordable.
Exactly, exactly. Saving thousands of dollars just by going over the river. That's between rent and parking. But I want to talk a little bit about pocket listings because we signed a 12-month lease. I would love to buy in New Jersey, but inventory is so tight right now. And I've had many people tell me you need to get in with an agent. You need to get a broker because pocket listings are how it's happening, that these houses aren't even hitting the market.
That's
Have
horrible.
you seen that?
Yeah, I mean, we have that. There's this new thing that some brokerages have created, which is called a private listing network. And they're sort of, as Ray, I can't remember his last name, but he championed this phrase where he said, you know, you can't pretend to be the champion of the consumers and gatekeep listings. And so there's this private listing network that sort of keeps the listings in and prevents consumers from seeing everything. And I think that's really damaging to the marketplace. As we know, where do you, let me ask you, where do you start your search if you're looking for a listing?
I check the Zillow app religiously.
Yeah,
so
I still
Zillow
do, too.
has
I have a house. Yeah.
2.5 billion visitors a year and growing. And unfortunately, for brokerages, they kind of lost this battle. I mean, I'm a brokerage, I understand that, and that's where all the listings are. And we have to try to keep them there so the consumer has their eyes on the listings. We don't want to prevent listings from being there, and we want to make sure consumers get to see everything. And I think this is sort of a goal of brokerages to try to keep money internal versus keeping it outside. So don't fall for the pocket listings. That's a nightmare that creates a complete boondoggle for everyone. And so we want to sharing. Sharing is caring, as they say. So.
You know, Katie, it's okay. You're renting. I'm stuck with a 6% mortgage. You lose if you do in the housing market. You lose if you don't. What are you going to do? We are lucky to be able to be even in the game. Bess Freedman of Brown Harris Stevens, thank you so very much. We're going to get a check.